Make your moves in silence. I'm not joking. That idea, plan, or project you have, that one that you're putting your time, energy, and soul into fleshing out, that one, keep it to yourself. I probably sound hella negative, right? But listen, I'm not saying don't create or release your ideas and vision. What I'm saying is don't share it in its conception with folk in the same field. This may be controversial, but your friend, Sally, who happens to be a fellow content creator, is also your colleague. Sally may not mean harm, but sometimes that spark witness when you're sharing your idea or even plan can create an impact that registers somewhere. And subliminally, unintentionally, and subconsciously down the line, Sally may believe that it was her own unique idea and publishes something before you do. Sally didn't mean ill. Sometimes people are just that scatterbrained or just that inspired. The point is, Sally is your colleague. Not everything is ill-willed, malice-fueled, and petty. Can be, but not always. So here's the thing about the ideation stage, where the idea is still in its early days. It's raw and formless, it's vulnerable and malleable, and the truth of the matter is that we don't have a monopoly on ideas. Nobody does. Believe me when I say that the friends, and I say friends, I had shared my ideas with in the past, where I was beaming with light and fully lit fire, ready to pursue and craft it, only for it to be done first by one of those friends. I can definitely say one was unintentional, but the other, oh, that was definitely ill-willed. And it's not the, I'm gonna steal this and do it first. It was the ill will of, I can definitely one-up her and do it better. I've learned from it. I really have. A quick disclaimer, but a lot of what I'm saying doesn't even have to apply to the creation space. It can apply to everyone in their day-to-day, and I will try to give some nuanced insights showing that. In the past, I worked as a mentor in a community. A large goal of mine was to inspire, elevate, and create opportunities for others. And I did that. Regardless of whether I was thanked for it or not, I would do it again. Because I believe in abundance. There is more than enough room for all of us to grow. One person's success doesn't diminish someone else's. But here's where it may sound like a paradox. Believing in abundance doesn't mean you live your life as a mug. Keeping a hold on your ideas until they reach or approach fruition doesn't mean you're robbing someone else of anything or that you feel threatened by your colleagues. It just means that you're protecting yourself and the idea until you are either close enough to market it, to build the hype, or it's literally ready to go. I know you are excited, and that's why you want to talk about it so soon. I was too, but I learned from some pretty shitty experiences. And it's more so about sharing the lesson over the tea, but nonetheless, there's a little bit of tea. Protecting your work is about respecting your own efforts, not about scarcity. All that aside, accidents happen. I was on Discord with a close friend of mine. Let's call her Betty. Don't ask where these names are coming from. I don't know either. Anywho, Betty and I were catching up on life as you do. At the time, Betty was a budding content creator brimming with energy and drive. We spoke a lot about our growth, channels, what we were individually wanted to do next, all sorts. And that's where I made a mistake. I shared the video idea, not just any idea, but the idea. It was something I hadn't seen done before, especially in the game community we hailed from. So for me, it felt as unique as it could be in a world of everything that's been done before in some capacity. And I even told her my spin on it. I didn't see any harm in sharing. I trusted Betty, and to be honest, I still do. But I just don't speak about what I'm working on until it's near completion or it's completed and posted. Work is work. A few weeks had passed since the call. The research was done, the script was in the process of being written, and like any craft, it was full of time, energy, and love. However, it all changed on the Fire Nation attack. I'm sorry, that was cringe. But that did all change the moment I tuned into Betty's live stream, where the idea for my video had been delivered by her with her own spin to an audience that at the time was near identical to mine. We are from the same community, same game, it happens. We're gaming content creators. I was too hurt to think rationally, but I bent the whole idea and project. In my lens, if I had posted it, I felt people would have thought I was ripping off or copying Betty's content. I know for a fact that it wasn't intentional or malicious because she's not that person. But sometimes that same spark of inspiration is contagious, and she is someone who feels energy and inspiration like that. It came from the subliminal or subconscious, and it's residual. Doesn't mean I can't feel hurt about it, but it means I should be more mindful, more conscious, and keep things under wraps. It wasn't out of animosity, and it wasn't out of competition. Genuinely, it was from the impact of sharing. Betty is my friend and a colleague. When we catch up, we still talk life. I do still share parts of work, but not anything that is in the conception or in the process of being worked on. I share my ambitions, what I want to do, where I want to be, and she does the same. I still share my knowledge of marketing and social media, engagement on that side of things whenever I can. I encourage her to keep going, being supportive. I'm a bit bullheaded at times, so you know that I made this mistake more than once before I learned that timing is everything. Let's return to the name Sally so we don't mix innocent Betty into a tale of when it is malicious. I know I said Sally wasn't intentionally malicious with my tangent earlier, but what if she was though? Now, in a world of creators, it's like Pokemon. You have a lot of different types. You have people who build you up, people who hate watch, people who burn you down, people who don't take you seriously, and people who pretend to support you while sabotaging your efforts, dumping on your reputation and authenticity, or even stealing your ideas. If that sounded like a lot of trauma, it has been a hell of a ride. Fortunately, I am surrounded by people who are in their own lanes, focusing on their own journey to their destination, only moving out of their lane to deliver real talk or elevate. Sadly, that hasn't always been the case. Sally was that person. Contradictingly, she's nice, kind, and oblivious at times, so I didn't think that there'd be any issues with sharing so much of my intentions for the Fighting Against community with her in calls the day before my flight abroad. I thought I was her friend. Turns out the moment I was on my flight, she'd attempt to speedrun all of my ideas I had shared the night before, posting about it and portraying herself as the originator of it all. The petty in me is happy that none of the ideas she ran with succeeded. They flopped pretty hard. The difference between putting actual care in and just thinking anything she can do, I can do better. Effort, care, and intentions matter. For her, she ran with those ideas because it was about love bombing herself into fast friendships with others by taking on tasks with the community she had no bearings on. The disrespect grew when she asked me to join the ideas she had attempted to speedrun, and out of morbid curiosity, I did. The love bombing became clearer, fast friendships everywhere, and those who had seen love bombing before DM'd me their suspicions. Communities are pretty tight-knit, you know. At first, I was angry, not just at her, but at myself, sharing my ideas, things that fueled my passion, and just yapping away, only for it to be pulled out from underneath me. But here's the thing. When you're someone who moves with genuine intentions, you don't expect others to be playing a different game. We go back to that notion that no one has a monopoly on ideas. I can assume a lot, but who's to say she didn't have that thought by herself? The problem isn't whether she had that idea too. It's that I left myself wide open to that possibility. It's like walking down the street waving your money around as you approach the corner shop to buy a snack that you were looking forward to. Sure, you shouldn't expect to be robbed, but it's naive to assume that no one's watching, that no one's willing to take the opportunity if it presents itself. And that's where I messed up. I assumed that because I wasn't looking to step on anyone, that meant that no one else was either. So here's what I've learned. Protect your work, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Ideas are free, but execution is where the real power lies. And the next time someone tries to speedrun what you've been carefully crafting, let them. They'll learn the hard way that quick wins don't build legacies. Effort, care, and consistency do. And that's the part they can't steal. Hear me out. Not everyone who hypes you up is genuinely invested in your success or content. Some folks just want to be in the room when you speak so they can say they were there. Not because they care, but because they want proximity, not perspective. Trust me when I say I had plenty of colleagues who weren't a Betty or a Sally, who were full of empty words. They would just say what they think you want to hear. They were literally the echo chamber colleague, without criticism, without genuine interest, and they didn't care to say what they actually thought of your ideas and content. Without that care, things stagnate. Or worse, you notice and you stop valuing the voices of the hype people because it's empty. It's bittersweet. To round this off, I want to share what I've learned and why. Unless you're collaborating with a person or they are a colleague who does wish to see you grow, moving in silence is the best for peace of mind and soul. I have reinforced throughout that we don't have a monopoly on ideas. However, what we do have is control over who you let in. That naivety in believing the genuine support or interest from a fellow colleague can be them telling you what they think you want to hear, or them in the background taking things on board subliminally, to downplaying your ideas or making you doubt yourself, or the worst, aiming to pull the rug out from under you. Don't break your heart. So here is what I've learned. Stop expecting support from the wrong people. Not everyone who cheers for you actually wants to see you win. The people who really believe in you, they show up, engage, and support. Their actions prove it. If someone only hypes you up in private but never shows up when it matters, take that as it is. They are all bark and no bite. Hype is cheap. Execution is everything. Don't chase validation, chase results. It means don't tell people what you're gonna be doing and just do it. And then flex the results. Be proud of yourself. Don't be a dick, but you persevered, and that is something. Also celebrate your progress. A step forward is a step forward. People can gas up your ideas all day long, but if you keep talking about it instead of doing it, you've already lost. The real flex? Dropping your content without warning and watching them react to the impact, or see them playing up their importance out of nowhere. Some people are a little bit delusional. Silence is a power move. Let them wonder what you're working on. Let them see the finished product instead of the process. Not because you're secretive, but because you are focused. You are not giving room for their energy to taint your ideas, drive, or such. Your work speaks louder than their opinions. Whether they support it, ignore it, or steal it, it doesn't change the fact that you built it. And when your work stands on its own, they can't take credit. They can't dismiss it. They can't ignore it. Before I wrap this up, let's level on this. This doesn't just apply to content creators. This applies everywhere. Some people don't need to know your next move. Whether it's a new job opportunity, don't tell your colleagues or your boss until you've handed in your notice. Your fitness goals, yes, flex your achievements, goals, and progress. But we've all dealt with an energy vampire called Debbie Downer who either downplays it or just makes it seem like you wouldn't be able to just start. Starting something new is already one of the harder things to do. The second hardest is maintaining consistency. Forget Debbie's approval and validation. Debbie is a dick anyway. You know, whether it's also a big life change, a business idea, even your relationships. There are people who act supportive but secretly hope you don't pull it off or just brushing it off like it's nothing. No, it is a big deal and you should be proud of that. Some will gas you up and then ghost. Some will sabotage you the moment you start winning. And that's why I've learned not everyone needs to know your plans. Move in silence. This is how you can avoid them unnecessary shots from all the friendly fire, you know? Hype is cheap. Execution is everything, whether it's your career, fitness, or personal growth. Hype won't get you results. Consistency will. Don't chase validation, chase progress. The loudest people usually aren't the ones putting in the work. But I don't blame you if you want to talk about that. Toot that horn about the progress. Applaud yourself. Do it. Be proud. Silence is a power move. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them see the results, not the process. If they want help getting themselves there, they'll ask you, and you can help them. It's not about gatekeeping, but it is about not letting anything interfere with the goal. Let them talk while you work. Some people hate you for no reason, whether they are unhappy, projecting, or such. It's not your job to diagnose them. Let them be unhappy from their corner while you work. It's not because you're secretive, but because you're focused. Your wins don't need an audience. You don't have to announce every milestone to make it real. The best revenge is success. Some people will find that petty, but it's true. Don't worry about them. Chase what sparks your soul. And when you move smart, when you let your work, achievements, and goals speak for itself, they can't ignore it. At the end of the day, your best moves won't need an announcement. The loudest ones in the room, they're usually the ones who aren't doing the work. Move in silence, build in focus, execute without permission. And when the results speak, let them listen. I could have gone deeper into every story. I could have told you more about the bullshit I've dealt with, but that's not the point. Because it was never about Betty, Debbie, or Sally. It's about you. It's about your work, your goals, your vision, and making sure nothing, no one, taints what you're building. I'm Voivode Rose, and this has been Friendly Fire Enabled, Episode 2. If you vibed with this, drop your thoughts and comments. Let's talk about it. If you've ever had an idea stolen, a plan sabotaged, or had someone hype you up just to disappear, trust me, you are not alone. Let's talk about it. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. See you next time.